welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a requested video on how I choose my breeding pairs. You have to take into consideration what type of fish do you want to breed. So the first one I'll go over is Orandas, since that's currently what I'm breeding. So the first thing you want to take into account is if you're going to breed Orandas, the main thing about Orandas is their wind growth. So do you want to breed a very large wind like Knight had? He had a huge wind. He was a Chinese Oranda, and if you wanted to breed him, most likely his fry would have large winds too. It's genetic. Or if you want to breed Thai Orandas, which is what I currently have, they don't have as large of a wind. They have more of a kind of like a cap. They don't really have, it doesn't go all over their face, in other words. But one of the first things that I look at is the wind. But some people also look at size for reference, and also like tails, if there's any defects within the fish. I have several Orandas. I have Sakara and Dodge, which are the mother and father to my current Orandas. Neither of them have any defects. Both of them are show quality, in my opinion. Some other fish that I wouldn't necessarily breed would be Malachi. Malachi is my female Oranda that I rescued several years back. She has a tail droop. When I got her, she was in really bad condition. She had a bacterial infection, she had a fungal infection, she had fluke, she had a lot of stuff wrong with her. And when her tail grew back, it did not grow back the way that it was supposed to. So it kind of hangs like you can see in the picture, and it doesn't really help support her weight. So that would be one thing that you would not want to choose to breed because of that. Now, as far as her coloring, I love her. She's calico, love her coloring, she's gorgeous, but you can't just choose to breed a fish based on the color that they are. So that's one reason why I wouldn't breed her. The other reason is that she has swim bladder. She's had swim bladder ever since I've had her. I think that it was a birth defect, and I would not want to breed her for that reason, not only for the tail issue, but for that, because there's a chance that she could pass that gene on to her fry, and I wouldn't want to sell swim bladder fish. So that's one reason for her. My other Oranda is Comet. Comet was Knight's girlfriend. Comet, I did have fry from her, but I would not breed her on purpose. One, because she's gorgeous. She doesn't have any kind of defects really, other than she has a one of her caudal lobes is uneven, and it's been like that since she was born. It was a birth defect, and there's always a chance that she could potentially pass that on through genetics. Now, one thing that you need to also address is that how hard are you going to cull? Because technically you can cull those fish for tail defects. I do all the time. If they have a tail issue, like they have a fused tail or something like that, you can cull those pretty early on. But with her fry, you would have to cull pretty hard in order to get the better fish, and you would want a better male in hopes that you would get the genetics from that male. But that's a toss-up. You don't really know. So another breed you could do, if you were going to breed Ranchu, I have 2 Ranchu right now, and I wouldn't care necessarily to breed them. They just haven't gave me any eggs yet, and I still have a lot of fry right now, so I'm not gonna like try to breed them, but if they were to breed, then I would probably raise them. One of those is Precious. Precious is from East Coast Ranchu. He is a pretty good male. There's not really any defects with Precious. He swims very well. He's got a good wind coming in. It took a little bit longer to grow his wind than I've seen in the past, but that was his thing. And then I have a female Ranchu from King Koi Goldfish, and she has a more straight spine. So I would almost call her a lion head. She's calico. I love her to death. Her name's Eloise, and she's super cute. But when it comes to breeding her, I would have to do a harder cull just because she has a straighter spine than a Ranchu should have. So, I mean, if I happen to get fry from her, I would be a little bit more vigorous in the culling process just to make sure that I got more of the straighter or the curved spine that a Ranchu should have. Even though she is a Ranchu, she just kind of has not as rounded spine as I would like her to have. But all in all, she's a really nice fish, and she doesn't have much of a win, which in Calico Ranchu, it's a little bit harder to grow a win, and I'm not exactly sure why that is, or if there's some kind of genetic factor. I'm not really sure, but it tends to take them a little bit longer to get the win tissue than other Ranchu. She is starting to get some, but not very much. I don't think she's going to have like a full win like Precious is, but that's one thing that you would consider if you wanted to breed them. Another one is Ryukin fish. I have two Ryukins right now. One is Josephine. Josephine is the oldest fish in my collection right now, and she is not a breeder at all. She's just one of my pets. I would not ever breed her with anything just because she's not the best Ryukin to breed. She has a pretty tail, but she has some gill issues, like outturned gill covers and things like that, which isn't a major issue. It's just not something that I would breed. You could do a vigorous cull if you really wanted to, but it's probably not something that I would do. And I'm not really interested in breeding Ryukin fish. That's not really my area of expertise. If I bred anything else besides Orandas, I would probably breed Ranchu or butterfly telescopes. But besides Josephine, I do have Wiggles, and Wiggles is a Ryukin. If I ever bred Ryukin, I might breed her. She's still young, but she's got a good hump going on, and she doesn't really have any other defects. She's the one that I rescued last August from a guy that was going to flush her because she didn't get along with his angelfish. So I love her to death. She has a really good personality. But like I said, Ryukin just isn't my thing. But if I were going to breed her with a male, I would breed her and not Josephine. Another one that I have here is butterfly telescopes, and I do love my butterfly telescopes. The thing about butterflies is, I think, to me, breeding them is a little bit more vigorous than Orandas or anything like that, just because it seems like they have to have the perfect tail, they have to have the perfect telescope eyes, and I just think it would be a little bit more difficult to get a show quality butterfly. Not that it's impossible, but I would probably just breed hobby grade if I ever did. But you may get one that's really, really good, you know, out of the bunch. I have 3 butterfly telescopes in my collection. One is JoJo. JoJo is a gorgeous butterfly telescope. All 3 of mine came from King Coin Goldfish. I've had them about 2 years now. And she, I probably wouldn't breed her. She, I think, is more of possibly a Ryukin cross, just because she has a hump. And she has swim bladder issues as of lately. I think it was an injury. It's starting to get better, but I just don't think I would breed her. And her tail isn't exactly the perfect butterfly, even though I love it, but I probably just wouldn't breed her for that. My other one is Queenie. She's a red and white butterfly. I wouldn't breed her either. She is a runt, and she really never got bigger than she was when I got her. So she kind of pretty much stayed the same, and she also has outturned gill covers. I just wouldn't breed her for that. She's got really nice symmetrical eyes. She has a gorgeous tail, but she's just a runt, and I just wouldn't breed her for that. Also, for my last one, she is a calico butterfly telescope. She is one of my favorite fish that I own as far as coloring and stuff like that. If I were going to breed any of my butterfly telescopes, I would breed her. She used to be in my logo, and everybody that saw it was just like, is that one of your fish? And we want to see her in person. And she's just something else. She's got a lot of spunk too. But she is the same age as the rest of them. She's a female. Her name's Cleo. And she's a calico, blue-based. And she has asymmetrical eyes, which when you breed butterfly telescopes, you want them to have as symmetrical eyes as possible. However, with her, you could cull hard. That's always one of the ways that breeders get better fry is you have to cull vigorously, and that's one of the things that you would need to cull with her babies, because she does have one eye that's bigger than the other. As far as that, everything else on her is great. She doesn't have outturned gill covers. She doesn't have a bad tail. She has a beautiful tail. And her coloring is awesome. So she would be the one that I would breed if I had to, or if I was going to. And then the other thing that I have here is black Moors. And I have 2. I have Spike and Damon. Spike is the oldest. I would probably breed either one of them, honestly. But black Moors just really aren't my cup of tea either. But both of them have pretty symmetrical eyes. They have beautiful tails. They're long and flowy. And I wouldn't mind to breed either of those. The one thing about the telescopes and the butterfly telescopes is that you have to watch the eyes. That's the thing. If you take any of them to show, that's one of the first things that they look at is their eyes symmetrical. So that's one reason I could never show Cleo, even though she's absolutely gorgeous, she would get docked on the eyes. So that's kind of how I pick my breeding pairs if I'm going to, especially with my fish. I was going to go into each goldfish category, but I think I'd been requested to do that, but I didn't really want to go into lionheads and comets and all those things because I don't keep them personally, and I don't know a lot about breeding that kind of stuff. So I thought it would be easier just to go through my collection and tell you what I would personally breed or why I wouldn't. I hope that helped some of you guys if you're thinking about breeding. And that's all I have for you today, and I'll see y'all next time.